Assalamu alaikum and a very good morning to you all, and a very good morning to you all. Hope you guys are doing very well, and I just got confused what day it is, but that is the beauty of live shows because it sometimes merges into one. But anyway, today we have a really important show. Tomorrow on the 2nd of April is World Autism Day, but we're highlighting it today because it's something that we haven't done for a little while, and we wanted to highlight the importance of mental health care. We want to talk about the situation in Pakistan, because at the end of the day, within Pakistan, there is a lot of unreported, but the official numbers are also very, very blurry. But there's a lot of people suffering from some form of mental health issue. However, because of the stigma attached to it within this country, people tend to ignore it or go into denial, which could lead to more problems and more psychological problems, which affect you integrating into society. It can affect your education. It can affect your careers as well. So for that, we are going to be highlighting the importance of awareness. We're going to be highlighting the importance of parents' role within a child's life who has autism, and also this, what kind of language should we use, and also this whole social attitude towards a child or parents with a child with a learning difficulty of some sort. Is that, oh, bichara, which means in English is that, oh, poor them, oh, what a difficult life. However, in the 21st century, we should not be taking a difference as a weakness. We should look at it, we should try to integrate it into our society, because everyone has something positive to give. So for that, we have some wonderful guests in the studio who have been doing work on this in specifically educating children with autism, and also helping the parents deal with such a situation within Pakistan. We have been joined by Major Umair bin Tahir. He is the director of Step to Learn, which is a autism resource center and a rehabilitation center for special and slow learning children. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Besides Major Umair, we have been joined by Mrs. Aayesha Umair. She is a special educator. Assalamu alaikum, thank you so much for joining us. Besides Mrs. Aayesha, we have been joined by Soumiya Umar, who is a behavioral therapist, and she is the principal at the school as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Assalamu alaikum. Very important day, especially for you guys as well, because you guys specialize. Tell us why we need to raise awareness still in 2016.
As far as awareness is concerned, I think for the last 1 decade, it is almost over. Now we definitely require some practical steps to be taken for the betterment and rehabilitation of these kids. Most of the people and parents, definitely, they do have a concept of word autism, that there is some disorder which has some such deficiencies in communication, and they have some behavior issues, they have their socialization issues, and then they have the learning disability. They do understand that. But the main thing is that they do not accept it, and they keep accepting it. No, he will just speak someday, he will learn, he's a slow learner, he will improve with the passage of time. In fact, they remain in a denial phase, which definitely affects the progress and development of the child.
Okay, great. And thank you for highlighting why it's important. But actually, we have to share a video with you. So let's go take a look at the video, and then we will continue our conversation. Stay tuned.
Our stories start in childhood. It's when we discover the world, meet our first friends, and go to school. And little by little, day by day, we make our way towards adulthood. As adults, we pursue vocational training or go to university. We choose a career, we find a job, move into our own home, or maybe start a family. For people with autism, it's often a very different story. Autism is a lifetime condition of the brain that affects each person's ability to understand the world around them, communicate with others, and interact socially. Autism is a spectrum disorder, meaning that people with autism share common traits, but autism affects each person in a different way. Approximately 1% of people have autism. This means 1 in every 100 people. People with autism face discrimination in all aspects of life. They are denied access to education, equal employment opportunities, and the possibility of living in the community with everybody else. And sometimes they are even locked up in institutions. Over time, it all adds up, leaving people with autism more and more excluded from the society they live in. Given access to adapted education and the appropriate support, people with autism can make use of their strengths and live up to their full potential. We can all do something to stop discrimination and start including people with autism. Promote awareness and acceptance of autism.
Okay guys, so that was a small video for you, just to give you an idea of what is happening during the day, how people organize it, and it's actually the eighth anniversary for observing World Autism Day tomorrow. There's so much information in my head and I have to get it all out. So let's start the conversation again. Now, I'll start with you again, Major Umair. Like you said, denial is one major aspect within the society. Now, with the state of information and technology, we have resource centers. A lot of people within Pakistan have children suffering with it, and we will get figures about how many there are, and we will share them with the audience. Why is denial still such a big factor socially from what you've seen? And then I will jump to Ms. Soumiya then.
I think literacy plays a vital role in this aspect. People, or majority of the population with us in Pakistan, doesn't have that much of understanding as far as education is concerned. So mostly in the areas, rural areas especially, they definitely it's very difficult for them to accept that their son or their ward has some issue in that development.
Okay, well actually I wouldn't say it's only in the rural areas. I would also say that it's also very much in the urban areas. So Ms. Soumiya, you're a principal, you deal with parents all the time. Why do you think we still have this such a big, why is denial such a big factor still?
Actually, the denial phase is because people think they have some sort of mental illness, some sort of pagalpan, you can say, and they are still conservative thoughts. Maybe it works, a jhar poonch or something like this.
Yeah, because I remember I've heard stories that, oh, he was fine and he was happy and he was responding, and then some aunt came and saw him, and then after that he just stopped being a happy baby. So when you have people with this kind of mentality, how do you deal with it as a principal?
Definitely we counsel them.
Relax, it's okay, it's just a conversation. So how do you, say I'm a parent, how would you deal with me? You can see that my child needs help. So what would you say?
First, you have to accept you have this problem. Then realize all the factors, all the things, all the criteria which are lacking with your child. Like you have to accept your child has a problem. Your child can't communicate with you. Your child has a social limitations as well as many repetitive behaviors. You should accept first these things.
So how do you ask them to gain that acceptance? Because they've been with the child and they haven't accepted it. So how do you get them to that level of acceptance?
We first of all counsel them.
Okay.
This is not only with you. It's happening. It's many other parents facing these problems.
Okay, so you said basically you give them the awareness of what the situation is within Pakistan. Okay, great. Now, okay, then let me ask Mrs. Aayesha. You're the special educator. So how do you break this? How do you enlighten the parents? How do you give them reassurance that their child is okay, everything will be all right? And then they have to accept it in order to move forward.
Actually, it's a developmental disorder. And everything looks fine. Child is very beautiful. He's physically normal. There is no such thing. Just behaviors are abrupt and uncertain. He does on some things which other children doesn't do, like he's hyperactive, he doesn't sit still, his attention span is very less. These kind of feature we deal with. We tell the parents we can treat these things and we can bring changes. But the main factor is early intervention. If we go for early intervention, it will help a lot. And there will be significant changes in the child.
Or management, like, I mean, how much change can you actually bring about? I mean, you can bring a change in the quality of life, but what about the child? Isn't it, if you learn how to manage them more, then that is what's happening, right? So,
I'll add something to the previous question as well. That it varies from parent to parent.
and also, when I ask a question, you can add it in then. We don't need to go back and forth.
Thank you. In fact, it varies from parent to parent.
Right.
We find few parents which who are convinced and they accept it in 2-3 sessions. But there are parents still we keep counseling them and advising them and highlighting the issues of the child. But for years they have been in that, but they do not accept it. They say no, my child is okay. He started late, but he's doing it at time. He's okay. At times he's not behaving well. But as far as management is concerned, what you have asked, that it's a team effort. You see that a child comes for the therapy for half an hour, 1 hour, couple of hours, and if he's in school, he spends a good 5-6 hours with the professionals. But still, he has a big period of the day which is spent with the parents. And if the parents they do not cooperate and they do not put in their efforts in that time, then the development and the progress the results would not be that which should be, definitely. So it's a teamwork in which parents and the professionals they have to work together. And now the thing comes that parents are not educated, they are not professional, they doesn't know what to do with the behaviors, how to work on the communication skills. So it is the task of the professionals that they take them on board and they keep them guiding and counseling and addressing their issues, what they face at the home environment, so that they also work with the child in their time.
Okay.
So
Actually,
in this way it works.
Actually, it's a beginning. When you leave your child with some experts, it's a very excellent beginning. But the bulk of work will done at the home setting. When parents will do effort, they play a key role in their development. So definitely.
Okay, and a parent's role who has got a child with autism, how much more do they have to give? Because, you know, people work, you have financial issues, you know, you have social commitments. So how does a parent raise their child without destroying themselves? Because then, you know, that frustration comes in. You see a lot of, you know, I actually have in the street, there's some people who are neighbors and they have some children with learning difficulties. But a lot of the times you hear screaming and shouting and, you know, that is the mentality. So what is that actually doing to a child who has got autism? Anyone can answer this because you're all specialists. So
Situation is quite better actually now. People understand and awareness is there, I think.
No, but
yes,
the awareness is there in certain circles. Now let's talk about the majority of the population. The awareness is not as high, most probably in the rural areas.
Very.
Now, they will not be dealing with a child with autism, and I'm sure the people that come to your rehab center must have been in these situations before. You know, you slap them, you discipline them, or you lock them in a room. These are how people are treating or dealing with problem children. What is that doing? What is the negative? What are the consequences of behaving like that? Let's highlight the dangers of not addressing the situation.
You see, once the issues are not addressed at the right time or are delayed in that aspect, then the behaviors and the things get strengthened. For example, if a child has a shouting behavior, if we do not address it in all the environments at as early as possible, then that behavior will increase and get strengthened, and then reversion of that behavior would be another difficult task for the professional and the parents as well.
Okay, so reversal of learned behavior is much more difficult.
Yeah.
Okay, now as a behavioral therapist, let's turn on to the positive. Parents come there, they've been dealing with it. What are the positive things that you've seen of early intervention and acceptance?
During early intervention, behaviors are not so much strengthened. So we can keep on it working, and we pick the certain behaviors at that time and deal
So let's
with it.
highlight, let's give some examples of certain behaviors. Let's not be so generic or general. So what are the certain behaviors that someone with autism may be displaying?
Actually, we change the behavior, we alter the behavior.
Sorry, keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, don't stop.
Actually, we alter the behavior, we modifies the behavior. We pick the bad behavior and give the new good behavior, which is a team effort. Which we deal with the parents also. Okay, like someone has the hitting behavior. Then we replace it with the high five. Then we should reward
The high
positive.
Okay.
Like this, we can change any behavior, we can provide any alternative behavior in replacement of that behavior, in
Okay.
replacement of an inappropriate
We
behavior.
reframe these challenging behaviors
Okay.
into their potentials.
The main behaviors which an autistic child with autism display are shouting, crying. Sometimes it is attention seeking as well. Sometimes it is environmental basis. A child doesn't behave in that way in an environment, but once he goes to another environment, he behaves totally otherwise. So it is sometimes environmental and in relation to the person as well, the one who is dealing with the child. It varies in that aspects. But the most the behaviors which are displayed are disrupting, distracting, attention seeking. So all these are displayed by the child who has autistic features.
Okay.
Sometimes we control the antecedent, sometimes we control the consequences.
Okay. So you just need to know when to do what, and that just
Yes.
comes with
It's very
therapy.
according to situation.
Okay, great. Okay, and with that, we're going to go for a short break because we have been joined by some parents with children with autism. So when they come back, we're going to see what life is like for them. So do stay tuned. Parents in because it's
The smiling faces of Pakistan. ETV World, changing perspectives.
welcome back everyone. And before the break, we were discussing World Autism Day, which is tomorrow, but we're observing because it's very important to find out what is the situation within Pakistan. And we've been very lucky. We've been joined by STEP, which is a rehab center for children with autism. It's very specialized, which is very rare within Pakistan. And now we've been joined by two parents with children with autism, and I'm really happy that they joined us and to share their stories with all of us. We have been joined by Miss Taniyat Absar. She is a mother of a son who is 14 years old. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us. Besides Mrs. Taniyat, we have been joined by Mr. Waqar Anwar, who is also a father. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for joining us. So before the break, we were just talking about the social situation. What's the situation within Pakistan? So I'll start with you, Mrs. Absar. How was it for you when you first found out that, or when you first started getting the feeling? Tell us the story.
Actually, when he was born, he was having many problems. At the age of 3 months, he got asthmatic. And then we got different tests, and then we realized that doctors told us that, yes, he is having many problems. Partially, some part of a brain was damaged, sort of. So doctors told us that maybe he'll be partially paralyzed.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and he was having physical problems as well. But by the time when he grown up,
we just need you to move your hair, your dupatta back because there we go, perfect. Now continue. Yeah.
Okay, where I was.
Sorry, so the doctor, he might be partially paralyzed.
Yes, he was partially paralyzed. But by the time
relax, it's okay, yes.
With the efforts and we rushed here and there and everywhere with doctors and the rehabilitation centers and all that, he recovered physically.
Physically, okay.
Yeah, but when he started going to school first, he was not able to speak.
Right.
He was like 3.5 or about 4, and he was unable to speak. Doctor suggested that take him to the school. When he will meet his mates, age mates, he'll start speaking. But it wasn't work.
Okay.
Then
so the doctors were also telling you, giving you information. Which
yes.
Wasn't, okay.
Yes. But yes, and many information we got from the net, internet, and all that stuff. And
okay, so basically you learned it, you dealt with it, you accepted that there was an issue, and you wanted to help him.
But we faced many problems in the family.
Okay.
Acceptance.
Yes. Now tell me, how did you deal with that? I mean, you and your husband accepted it. You wanted to help your son. What happened with the people around you?
We have to manage it, and we have to be sometimes harsh with the people.
Right.
Because people deal your children like this. Oh, it's a separate piece. Just they start making their children to be stay away,
okay.
Or just okay, he's like this, let him be, he cannot do this, or just leave it.
Yeah.
So it's a very difficult thing to boost up our child, making his confident well, and as well as dealing with the family, not making them angry too. So
okay, now, because it sounds like a lot of hard work, and especially if things are not as easy as they are in the world. So how did it make you feel? I mean, how was it, if you don't mind me asking, how was it, between you and your husband? Because that must have caused a lot of extra stress and pressure. So how did you get through it together?
Actually, I was into it before. I'm a Montessorian. So I was into it. I was working with these children before too.
Okay.
But yes, it was very difficult for my husband to accept it.
Right.
But he did.
Okay. Well,
and he did a lot of effort.
Okay. And now your son, he's 14.
Mashallah.
Mashallah. And so what is the situation now? Where is he? What is he doing? How is the situation?
Mashallah, mashallah, he is very well now. Like as he's sitting and he's talking, you cannot say that he's having any problem, but just in studies, he gets some problems.
Okay.
In understanding or learning. That's it. Sometimes behavioral problems.
Okay, and I think a lot of us suffer from those anyway. So that's wonderful that he's been able to, integrate so well. Okay, let me move on to Mr. Anwar. So, would you like to share us your story? What happened with you?
You see, actually, I've been lucky somehow because when my son was born, and I remember the first time I went to see him in the incubator, in the hospital, and he was there smiling and he was quite active, intelligent, and nothing seemed wrong, But when he was 2 years old, I would like to publicly thank Dr. Musarat of Al Shifa, he was a child specialist, that his vigilance, just made us realize that there was something wrong, because he was of the opinion that he should be speaking some words, like mama, papa, something, which he was not. So eventually we got into it, we had tests, and we were also looking for schooling, his schooling, but the people told us that I don't think that he would fit in. So that was a bit of a setback for us, but we recoiled, we went back to action, and we took proper steps, So it wasn't much of, but I do understand the pain most parents go through.
Yeah.
Because like Dr. Umair might have told you that it depends upon the severity of the case itself,
Okay. So how about your situation? How severe is the autism? How severely autistic is your child on the spectrum?
My child, particularly, specifically,
yes, specifically.
like I told you, I've been lucky in that it's not that severe,
Okay.
But we still have our share of problems.
Right.
We have
So how do you deal with it? I mean, within the family, how did you deal with it once you realized we have a situation, now we need to move in a positive way? How did you guys, how did your wife, how did the extended family, how did you all help your son?
Well, my wife has played the major part, I'm proud to say that she has the major contribution in that, But my family has also been very supportive, luckily, luckily for me. And they even they have also tended to be on the spiritual side of it, So anyway, he's doing fine. We are doing our best we can, I have my shares of frustrations and some insecurities there, yes, but on the whole, I'm
okay, and but we have to go for a short break, but we are going to highlight the insecurities, and I'm going to ask you, Major Umair, how you guys deal with it to equip the parents and what they should be doing. And also we're going to find out what is the difference between handicapped and autism, because within Pakistan there isn't very many specialized places. So we need to highlight and make people aware of the fact there is a difference. So we'll go for a short break, and when you come back, we'll ask these questions. Stay tuned. Welcome back, everyone. And before the break, we are observing World Autism Day, which is tomorrow, but we wanted to highlight the importance of it and the situation in Pakistan. We have some parents with children with autism, and we have some professionals in the studio. And before the break, we were discussing the difficulties and how these parents really positively and really are doing really good for their kids. And this is an example of early intervention and positive steps. However, I'd like to, one thing struck out. Everyone around them, ostracized or gave that, feeling that that kid did not belong. Other parents were sidelining a child, a kid, saying, stay away. I mean, what mentality of parent or adult does that? When you start separating and creating this division between the kids. Surely, is that negative or positive?
That is definitely negative, because in the surrounding, all the members who are interacting with the child, they must have, and they definitely contribute something in the development of that child. if they play positively and they contribute it and they give some environmental or incidental learning to the child in that environment, it definitely will help in appropriate development of that child. But unfortunately, in our society, we say that we should not interact with the child. We'll learn something. Our child will learn something bad from him, or will imitate or copy something bad behavior of that child. So, in view of all these aspects in thinkings, we keep our kids away from that. It is a general feeling around in a family environment. One. Second thing, that we must understand that autism is not a disability or a mental retardation. It is very much, they are very much educationable. They can be.
Some of them are geniuses as well.
Yeah, they have. We have number of lists in the world who have were on the spectrum. So definitely, this is
Einstein
not
was
a
on the
disability.
spectrum. Yeah.
This is not a
Einstein.
disability.
No, okay.
So this is a disorder which can be improved with some input from all the persons who interact with the child.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Learning autism is a learning difficulty. It's an LD, right? Learning difficulty, or does it fall into that or not?
No, basically you see that the DSM-5 says that manual of the for the diagnosis, that there are 3 areas which, if those are affected beyond some limit, then we place the child in that spectrum.
Okay, now I'm so glad you highlighted this guide that you just mentioned, the what is it?
DSM.
The DSM,
DSM,
right? The
Diagnostic Manual.
Yeah, that.
So,
now this manual, how up to date is it? What's the situation of it? Is it an international thing?
this is an international manual, and it is used for diagnosis of some disorder or disease. Basically, it's not parents are not aware of that, but I would just want to say that there are 3 areas. If those are affected, then the child is placed on the autism spectrum. One is communication, which is very important. So there are few kids who doesn't speak throughout the life. Sometimes they say they are weak in expressive language, or some they doesn't have the age appropriate communication. Then there is second thing is socialization. They do not interact with others. They prefer to remain isolated. They are imaginative and they keep playing alone in the environment of many kids. And then the third area, that is learning disability. So learning disability is one. We have communication and socialization as well.
Okay, so you're going, I
Fine.
see. So you're going beyond that.
Yeah. And then is a spectrum. We have, so in severity, we have something hypersensitive, sometimes it is hyposensitive, so it's both way.
Okay.
Sometimes one of the sensory issues is hypersensitive, other is hyposensitive. So it's a very complicated and complex disorder basically.
Absolutely.
And it's very difficult to understand autism.
Okay, no, it absolutely is, and there's a lot of confusion out there about it, so that's why I'm so glad we're doing a show. Now, now that we're doing distinctions and clarifications, as I said before the break, so now we've distinguished between learning difficulties and autism, which is fantastic. I've learned something clearer in my head as well. Now, in Pakistan, what we see is a lot of institutes that have handicapped and people with mental health issues under the same roof. Well, we know they're not the same thing. Being handicapped is different to being, autistic or, mentally challenged. But why do we think that it's okay to put them under one roof?
They should not be, definitely. But
why? I think we need to highlight what the difference is.
We do have many institutes and organizations who put all the children all together and they spend the whole day together. You see that it should not be so, because they are educationable, they can learn. The only thing is that we have to teach them in a different way. The way they are accepting it to learn. They are visual learners. They are to be shown something visually to teach something. Fine. But once they will be put in together and they will see some bad behavior or some bad action of some other child who is mentally challenged, so imitation is a natural skill.
Yes.
So they will imitate and copy that. So that brings something negative to the child's development. Instead of giving positive, we are inculcating something negative as well.
Okay.
So they should be dealt separately. Sometimes, you see, that's being a spectrum, sometimes it's very difficult to work out their mental age. Sometimes it's very minor. So it keeps going unnoticed for a long age.
Okay, so we are running out of time, but I have a very important question I need to ask. Now, if someone, so you know, right now we have media, we have channels, and, you know, PTV, I'm not just saying this because I work here, but we have been trying to raise awareness for, you know, to make the society healthier, to raise awareness on autism, for women's rights, etc. Now, people, so, you know, we have our parents here, Mr. Anwar and Mrs. Absar, who are doing wonderful. You know, they did their research, they went and explored the schools. Now, the previous generations who had children, maybe with autism or maybe with some sort of learning difficulty, they indulged this. They kept their kids separate. They mothered them, they babied them. And they're probably still doing it to this day, even though their child is now a complete adult, you know, 40, 50 plus. How do we deal with that? Because those are the examples that are being shown to the rest of the families, you know, like that's why there's that negative impression of keeping them separate. How do we deal with the previous generation? Because they're the ones that are kind of influencing everyone else as well because of the whole respect and, you know, joint family system. So how do we deal with that?
I think media and our institutes where parents are interacted, that, for example, and if I say a mainstream school is concerned, if all these such forums where parents are gathered, if they are educated on these issues in that forum and they are highlighted that these are the features of a child having autism or with some autistic features. So they are to be educated even if their own son is not, or ward is not with the features.
Okay.
But at least if they see some child with such features, they can tell them as well. So in a long way we will create good awareness in this aspect.
Okay, great. Exactly, because we spoke more on the social issue, but we didn't really touch upon too much on the education on a bigger scale. But absolutely, thank you so much. We've actually run out of time, but I'd just like to take a message from the parents. Mrs. Absar, would you like to say something to all the parents watching? Into camera 3.
I would like to say, please just have sympathy for these children and kindly deal them as they are also a member of society. Kindly do not make them feel that they are something out of this world.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Amar, would you like to say something to everyone?
Well, I would like to ask the parents to remain optimist, you know, and remain vigilant, and they should keep on working on their children, you know. Expect the best and leave the rest to Allah, of course.
Great, thank you so much. And best of luck with your center as well, which is STEP as well. So
Step to Learn.
STEP to Learn, that's the one. Sorry, too many names. Great, thank you so much for your time and thank you for being here today. Everyone, the importance of integration and acceptance and tolerance is really vital. We've seen what's been going on within the city and within the world. And if we join together, then that's the only way we can defeat this hatred and, you know, violence. And also, you know, these parents actually, you know, it's actually really moving that they've stayed positive despite all the difficulties they've faced, and, you know, there's people working out there to help them, so do support them. If you want any information, do log on to our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning, our Twitter page, World This Morning without a G, our Daily Motion page, World This Morning, and the repeat is at 5 past midnight. And today, I'd just like you to go out and just smile at someone, make that, you know, brighten up their day. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Karachi. We have prepared a package. Let's watch it.
Rangers have detained 44 suspects in different operations in Karachi earlier today. In a door-to-door search, the parliamentary force raided at least 100 houses and arrested people suspected to be members of band outfits. The ongoing operation in Karachi has seen a recent surge after 4 Rangers were ambushed and killed last Friday by miscreants. Earlier on Saturday, 4 terrorists were killed while 54 suspects were taken into custody. As the operation intensifies in Karachi, Rangers have started targeted raids in Kumwar Colony, Natha Khan and Pirabad areas. At least 20 suspects were arrested from Isa Nagri area and moved to undisclosed location for interrogation. In a separate operation, 3 terrorists were killed when terrorists engaged Rangers in Liari. According to law enforcement agencies, the terrorists were planning an attack during the local government polls. Amid fear of deteriorating law and order situation, political party leaders have shown concern over the postponement of LG polls scheduled for December 5th in Karachi. Meanwhile, the Sindh Labour and Human Resource Department has declared a public holiday on the polling day. In the third phase of LG polls, polling will be held in 6 districts of Karachi: West, East, South, Central Korangi and Malir. There are 247 union committees and councils in the 6 districts of Karachi, with more than 7 million registered voters. 4,144 polling stations will be set up in the districts of Karachi with just over 15,000 polling booths. Over 5,500 candidates are standing in local government elections, while 46 have been elected unopposed and no forms were submitted against them.
To talk about this issue, we have with us Simtaz Gulsabni, introduction, a very senior, seasoned journalist, a known columnist. So thank you very much for taking out your time. Sir, Karachi operation to be widened. This is what the federal government is asking.